Caitlin Clark has always been a competitor, but her latest training sessions with Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White have left even the most experienced basketball minds in awe. We already knew she was a star, but what she's been doing behind closed doors this offseason. Coach White came into training camp expecting to work with a great player, but what she got was a relentless machine, determined to take over the WNBA. From her insane physical transformation to her evolved skill set, Clark is showing a whole new level of dominance. What exactly did she do to shock her coach? Caitlin Clark has always been a competitor, but her latest training sessions with Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White have completely changed the conversation about what she's capable of. Last season, Clark already took the WNBA by storm, proving she could go head-to-head with the best defenders in the league. But this offseason, she's taken things to an entirely different level, and Coach White wasn't just impressed, she was shocked. Clark walked into training camp looking stronger, faster, and more determined than ever. Everyone knew she was going to improve, but no one expected the massive transformation she's undergone in just one offseason. From refining her skills to increasing her physicality, she is committed to making sure her sophomore season in the WNBA is nothing like her rookie year. Coach White, who has worked with some of the best players in women's basketball, thought she was getting a generational shooter and playmaker, and she is. But what she didn't expect was just how much Clark had elevated every single part of her game in just a few months. The first thing that caught everyone's attention was Clark's physical transformation. The moment she stepped onto the court, it was clear she had put in serious work in the weight room. Last season, defenders had success playing her physically. They body-checked her on screens, pushed her off balance when she drove to the hoop, and wore her down over the course of games. That strategy worked for a while, because Clark, despite being tough, wasn't the most physically dominant player. But this time, that's not going to work anymore. Clark has significantly bulked up, adding muscle in her upper body so she can absorb contact better when driving to the rim. That means when defenders try to bump her off her spot, she won't be fazed. Instead of getting knocked off balance, she's the one initiating the contact now. But what's really terrifying for opponents is how much she's improved her lower body strength. A stronger base means she's even quicker on her feet, more explosive off the dribble, and able to elevate on her jump shot with more power. Before, defenders could bump her off her rhythm and force her into tough shots. Not anymore. Coach White was stunned when she saw it in action. Clark was getting into the paint at will, holding her ground against bigger defenders, and finishing through contact like never before. She wasn't just playing with skill anymore. She was playing with dominance. But Clark didn't just get stronger, she got smarter too. One of the biggest weaknesses in her rookie season was that teams forced her off the three-point line, knowing she could drain shots from anywhere. Defenders ran her off the perimeter, forcing her into contested mid-range shots or difficult drives into the paint. So what did Clark do? She adapted. This offseason, she spent hours in the gym perfecting her mid-range game. That means now, when defenders close out hard on her threes, she doesn't have to force a tough layup. She can stop on a dime and hit a smooth pull-up jumper. Coach White immediately recognized what a game-changer this would be. If Clark could become just as deadly in the mid-range as she was from deep, defenders would have no way to stop her. And the scariest part? She's already executing it at an elite level. In training, she's been drilling her quick-release jumper, making sure she can rise up before defenders have time to react. If they try to recover late, she's now got a floater in her arsenal, something she barely used last season, but has mastered in just a few months. Coach White has been pushing Clark hard in these areas, testing her ability to read defenses on the fly, stopping just inside the arc to punish over-aggressive defenders, and getting to her spots effortlessly. And here's where things get really interesting. Coach White isn't just focusing on Clark's scoring ability, she's also building her into the team's true leader. Last season, Clark was already the face of the franchise, but now, she's stepping into the role of the Fever's undeniable floor general. Coach White has been challenging her to be more vocal, to take full control of the offense, and to elevate her teammates, they've been studying film together, going over plays, breaking down defenses, and figuring out ways to make Clark even deadlier as a playmaker. Clark has always had elite vision, but now she's learning how to control the pace of the game even better. Instead of always looking for the flashy highlight reel pass, she's been focusing on finding the right pass at the right time. That means fewer turnovers, more efficiency, and more open looks for her teammates. And speaking of teammates, the Fever have given Clark exactly what she needed this offseason: help. Last year, Clark had to do everything. She was the team's primary scorer, playmaker, and go-to option. Defenses swarmed her, and Indiana didn't have enough offensive weapons to take the pressure off. But this season, that's changing. The Fever added wnba, one of the most respected veterans in the league, to bring leadership and a secondary scoring threat. They also brought in Natasha Howard, a defensive anchor, who will allow Clark to focus more on offense instead of scrambling on defense. And with role players like Lexi Hull, Brianna Turner, and others stepping up, Clark now has teammates she can trust. That means fewer triple teams, better floor spacing, and a more dangerous Indiana offense overall. Coach White is already working on new offensive sets, designed to take advantage of Clark's improved game and the new weapons around her. The goal? Make the Fever unpredictable. Instead of Clark being the only option, defenses now have to respect multiple threats, which means Clark will get more open looks than ever before. And let's not forget about one of the biggest concerns from last season, Clark's turnovers. With so much responsibility on her shoulders, Clark sometimes forced risky passes and had a higher than expected turnover rate. But in this new system, that's getting cleaned up. Coach White has been drilling her on decision-making, making sure she's picking her spots carefully, while still keeping her signature creativity. The Fever's new offense will help her make better reads, play at a more controlled pace, and reduce unnecessary mistakes. That means Clark will still pull off insane highlight plays, but now with even more efficiency. And that's the key word: efficiency. Coach White's biggest focus has been turning Clark into an even more efficient superstar. She already has the talent, but now she's learning how to maximize every possession, every opportunity, and every shot. That's the difference between a great player and an all-time legend. And let's not forget, Clark has a chip on her shoulder. She's heard all the talk, the criticisms, the doubters. She knows some people think she was overhyped, that she's just a shooter, that she can't dominate at the WNBA level. And guess what? She's using all of that as fuel. Every single training session, every extra rep in the gym, it's all been about proving everyone wrong. And now, with a stronger body, an expanded offensive arsenal, a better team, and a coach who believes in her, Clark is ready to take over the WNBA in 2025. Coach Stephanie White has seen a lot of talented players in her career, but Caitlin Clark, she's different. She's not just here to be great, she's here to dominate. And if this training camp is any indication of what's coming, the WNBA better get ready, because Caitlin Clark 2.0 is about to take over. Caitlin Clark's transformation is already sending shockwaves through the WNBA, and training camp has only confirmed one thing: she's on a mission. Coach Stephanie White, a seasoned basketball mind who has seen elite talent up close, has been completely blown away by what she's witnessing. Clark's work ethic is relentless. She didn't just spend the offseason maintaining her game. She rebuilt it from the ground up. Every weakness she had in her rookie season, she's turned them into strengths. This is not the same Caitlin Clark that entered the league last year. This version of Clark is stronger, smarter, and more dangerous than ever before. And now, every WNBA team that thought they had a plan to stop her, they're in serious trouble. Coach White wasn't just impressed. She was shocked at how quickly Clark has adapted to the professional game. Most rookies take a couple of seasons to adjust, but Clark, she's already one step ahead. Last season, teams tried everything to slow her down. They sent double teams, blitzed her on pick and rolls, and forced her into tough decisions. They thought she'd crack under the pressure, but instead of struggling, Clark studied. She analyzed every game, every mistake, and every defensive scheme thrown at her. And now, she's fully prepared for everything teams are going to throw at her. Clark's mindset. A new level of focus. One of the most striking things about Clark's training camp performance isn't just her physical improvements, it's her mental game. Coach White has been working with her to slow the game down, making sure she understands how to manipulate defenses instead of just reacting to them. Clark has spent hours breaking down film, studying tendencies, and learning how to read the floor like a veteran. She's no longer just reacting to defenders, she's controlling the entire game. Coach White has been running high-pressure drills, simulating game-ending situations, and challenging Clark to make the right decision every time. And every time, Clark delivers. She's seeing the floor better than ever, recognizing defensive adjustments before they even happen. If teams collapse on her, she's dishing out assists at a ridiculous rate. If they sag off, she's pulling up and knocking down mid-range jumpers like it's nothing. This is the Caitlin Clark Coach White always knew she could be, but even she didn't expect the transition to happen this fast. Clark's competitive fire has been obvious from the beginning, but now she's playing with a different level of confidence. She's walking into the gym knowing that nobody on the court can outwork her, and that's dangerous for the rest of the league. Why defenses can't guard her the same way anymore. Last season, teams relied on a single game plan to slow Clark down, run her off the three-point line, force her into traffic, and make her take low percentage shots. That game plan doesn't work anymore. With Clark's new strength and explosiveness, defenders can't just bump her off her spots. She's using her stronger frame to power through contact, fighting through defenders, and getting to her preferred spots on the floor. And that mid-range game, it's becoming lethal. Coach White has drilled Clark on stopping in the lane, pulling up for quick high-percentage shots, and keeping defenders off balance at all times. If defenders step back to protect against the drive, she's hitting the pull-up jumper. If they play up to take away the mid-range, she's blowing past them for an easy layup. And if they try to send help, Clark's vision is better than ever, and she's delivering pinpoint passes to open shooters. She's unpredictable now, and that's a nightmare for defenses. Coach White has made one thing very clear. This is no longer just a three-point shooter. Clark is now a complete offensive weapon, capable of scoring from anywhere on the floor, and the more she adds to her game, the harder she becomes to stop. Clark's growing leadership role. Another major change Coach White has noticed. Clark is no longer just the star player. She's becoming the team's true leader. Last season she was still adjusting to being the face of a franchise, still figuring out how to balance scoring and playmaking. But now, Clark is taking full control of the Fever offense. Coach White has been pushing her to be more vocal, take command of the huddle, and set the tone for her teammates. She's no longer just leading by example, she's leading with her voice. During practices, she's been calling out defensive schemes, adjusting plays on the fly, and holding her teammates accountable. And that's exactly what the Fever need. Clark knows that winning in the WNBA takes more than talent. It takes leadership, trust, and chemistry. She's working with her teammates every single day, making sure they're all on the same page, ensuring that the Fever are playing as a unit, not just relying on her to bail them out. Coach White has noticed the difference, and so have Clark's teammates. She's not just playing like a star, she's playing like a champion. The Fever's new offense is built for Clark to thrive. One of the biggest takeaways from training camp, Coach White has completely revamped the Fever's offense to take advantage of Clark's expanded skill set. Last year she had to do too much handling the ball on almost every possession, creating her own shots, and constantly fighting through defensive pressure. Now, the Fever have given her help, with new additions like wnba, Natasha Howard, and Brianna Turner. Clark finally has teammates who can take some of the scoring load off her shoulders. That means more floor spacing, more movement, and a more dangerous offense overall. Clark no longer has to force tough shots. She can now run the offense smoothly, knowing that she has reliable options all around her. Coach White has installed more off-ball movement, giving Clark opportunities to get clean looks without having to create everything herself. And the early results? Incredible. Clark is playing more efficiently, the team is flowing better, and for the first time, the Fever actually look like a serious contender. Clark's biggest motivation, proving the doubters wrong. Let's be honest. Clark has heard all the talk. She knows people questioned whether she could be a true superstar in the WNBA. She knows people doubted whether she could lead a team to success, and she's using every single doubt as fuel. Every rep in the gym, every extra practice session, every film breakdown. It's all about proving she belongs at the top of the league. Coach White sees it in her every day. Clark isn't satisfied. She's not here just to be great. She's here to dominate, and if this training camp is any indication, the WNBA better be ready, because Caitlin Clark isn't just coming back stronger, she's coming back to take over. Caitlin Clark has completely redefined her game, and with Coach Stephanie White guiding her, the Fever have finally built a system designed for her to thrive. This is a completely different player than the one we saw last season. She's stronger, she's smarter, she's more efficient, and she's ready to shock the world. Coach White thought she was getting a star, but now she's watching a legend in the making. Caitlin Clark is stronger, smarter, and more locked in than ever before. And with Coach Stephanie White pushing her, the Fever are finally building a real contender. The WNBA should be very worried, because Clark isn't here to take part. She's here to take over. Do you think Indiana is finally ready to make a real playoff run? Let me know in the comments.